the stand. Now he runs. He produces a magic print. He pulls out another one. This is incredible. This is ridiculous. This is 15 out of 10 on the incredible meter. What a player. What an entertainer. Give him the medal. Give him the Delier medal.
Hello, footy fans, and welcome back to the Chip and Chase podcast. Back here for another Monday review, the review of round 13 of the NRL Telstra Premiership season. But, of course, we kick things off around here with our team of the week. So if you guys aren't following us over on Instagram, this is your chance to go and do so. This is where we post the graphic for that. We put a lot of hard work into that. Pretty happy with that design. It's been going for a fair few weeks now. But yeah, go over and head over to the Instagram and give us a follow there. A lot more content that's shared over there that doesn't get addressed on the podcast as well. So it's definitely a place to be if you're a footy fan and you just want some more content or you want to interact with me more. But let's get into our team of the week for round 13. At fullback, we have gone with Scotty Drinkwater in a game that we didn't think the Cowboys really had a chance. I personally thought they were going to get decimated by the Roosters. Not the case. We'll get into his stats more in the actual review of the game, but he was tremendous. So he is our fullback. A lot of good fullback performances, though. Clint Gutherson was a weapon. There's more that I'm forgetting off the top of my head. But Clint Gutherson was a weapon too, so he was close. Anyway, moving on to the wingers, also quite hard. We went with Sione Katoa. I know the Sharkies didn't get away with it, but in his 100th game, scoring a double, really good out of his own end, lots of really damaging runs, breaking a lot of tackles. Thought he was really nice. So we gave him one wing position. He's partnered with Matt Fianay, which I thought was just, considering the Dragons went up against the Panthers and got that victory, really incredible stuff to do that. I thought Fianay, he hasn't really taken the most of his opportunities in the NRL so far, but I thought in this game he was really, really good, really damaging, showing his power, and I also thought he was quite good defensively, which is something that he hasn't really been renowned for. So he got that position. There were a lot of other good names, though. Mike Acevo, Josh Adokar in only 45 minutes, scored 2 tries. There's a few others, again, that I'm forgetting, but Fianay, he is the winger for us. The centres, we've gone with Paul Alamotti. I know the Panthers didn't get the Chockies, but Alamotti is really finding a home in their squad. I assume next year with Taruva heading over to the Tigers. If Taylor May does end up coming back, I assume the best idea would be to move Taylor May to the wing and let Alamotti play in the centres. But the other option that you've got is, now that Taylor May is stood down, I assume Alamotti just wraps up that position for the season, and next year maybe Jesse McLean gets that wing position. Either way, the Panthers are in good stead, and Paul Alamotti had a fantastic game in round 13. So he's in my team of the week. Partnering him is Herbie Farnworth. He's back again. Another fantastic game from him. He's gone to a whole new level at the Dolphins, in my opinion. Obviously, center of the year last year, he was great. This year, I think he's been tremendous whenever he's actually been out in the field. So he's back-to-back, and our team of the week is Herbie Farnworth. The halves, quite hard to pick from. We've gone with Dylan Brown at 5'8". Honestly, 5'8" wasn't the worst position to pick from. There weren't too many just absolute standout 5'8" performances, so Dylan Brown getting in there was quite simple. It's this halfback position that really troubled me. We did end up going with Kyo Weeks. The Raiders getting that fantastic win over the Dolphins, and Kyo Weeks was a massive part of that. I didn't really think he had this sort of ability in him. Always thought he was going to be a product of his speed, but he is out there playing a fantastic role at halfback. So he gets that halfback position. It could have been Isaiah Katoa. I think if the Dolphins won that game, it might have been Isaiah Katoa. He was fantastic. There was also Mitch Moses in his return from injury. Lots of good players. Even Jesse Marshke I thought was fantastic for the Dragons. But Kyo Weeks is our halfback in the team of the week. The front rowers, Joseph Tarpany and Terrell May, they speak for themselves. Just go and look at their stats. In fact, don't look at them. We'll read through them when we get to those games. But those two, they were absolutely incredible in round 13. So those are my front rowers, Joseph Tarpany, Terrell May. At hooker, we went with Reid Marnie over Jeremy Marshall-King. Now, Jeremy Marshall-King did have a really great performance himself. But in the wet, I was at this Bulldogs Knights game in person. Unfortunately, to be honest, wasn't the best game of footy. Reid Marnie absolutely tore them apart. 3 try assists for him. Again, we'll talk a bit more in depth about him when it comes to the game review, but I thought he was exceptional. So he's the hooker. The second row was Jacob Preston, Raymond Faitala Mariner put in absolute shifts for their teams in round 13. Clear cut second row team of the week for both of them. I think it was a double for Preston, a try from Faitala Mariner, but even if he didn't score that try, I thought he was going to get in just the way he played. He was so good. And at lock forward, we've gone with Maxi Plath. Unfortunate the Dolphins didn't get that victory, but there's no knock on Max Plath. His effort was unbelievable. So he is our lock forward in team of the week. Now, we'll quickly run through our bench. Now, for those of you who don't know, our bench is made up of the best back who didn't quite make the starting 13, the best spine player who didn't make the starting 13, the best forward who didn't make the starting 13, and, in my opinion, the best bench player of the round. So our best back, jersey 14, Ronaldo Mulitalo, another one of the wingers that didn't make it. You could argue he had a better game than Sione Katoa despite not scoring any tries. He was that good. Like, he was insane. A lot of other good options, but I thought Ronaldo Mulitalo was really good. I know the Sharkies didn't get the victory, but it's no knock on Mulitalo. The best spine player, we've gone with Mitchell Moses. Again, stats-wise, maybe some other players stood out, but I thought Mitchell Moses's impact that he had onto that Eels side was just, you could notice it straight away. It was my bad for really picking the Sharks. I should have known as soon as Gutho and Moses came back, there was no way in hell that they were ever going to let that team lose another game. So Mitchell Moses, incredible. It gets the spine player, so jersey 15 for him. The best forward who didn't make the starting 13, we've gone back-to-back Jack de Belin. Maybe it's a bit of bias there. Really big fan of how de Belin plays his footy. No nonsense, just a lot of work in his game. But I thought he was incredible for the Dragons, and maybe there's a bit in there. Just the fact that they were able to knock off the Penrith Panthers sort of gets him a little bit more, a few more points in my book. And lastly, the best bench player of the round, we have gone with Josh Curran as well. Pretty simple, that one. He's just been immense for the Bulldogs off the bench. He's a specialist in that role at the moment. I still think he's better if he's a starting player, but you don't fix what ain't broken, and that's what the Bulldogs are doing right now. So that is my team of the week. Once again, up on Instagram. So go give us a follow at Chip and Chase Podcast. Comment on the post who you think you should have made it, or if you're not that bold, message me, swing me a DM, and let me know who you think should have made it, and we can discuss that and have a nice little friendly chat about that. But we will be moving on from that into our actual round review now. This, of course, was the bye round, so only 5 games of footy to get through. Hopefully we can make it a substantial amount shorter then. But let's get into the first game. Thursday night footy kicked things off with the Parramatta Eels defeating the Cronulla Sharks. The Cronulla Sharks 34-22. What a win, to be honest, from the Eels. As I said, it's sort of talking about the team of the week. I should have known. I did have the Eels tipped, and then I went back on my thing and said, look, Sharks team, they've got to come back from their loss last week, but it should have been so evident that the Eels were going to get up for this one. Mitch Moses and their captain Gutho back was just, you knew there was a boil over happening. And yeah, honestly, the difference in their side, it was noticed within the very first set of the game, to be honest. I believe it was, so Gutho took a hit up, maybe second or third tackle of the game as your fullback. You know, start of the game, you want to use your forwards. That's your impact. That's how you set the tone. Gutho's like, nah, get behind me, boys. Watch this, and I'll just take a hard run. And that was the theme of his night. It always is with Gutho, his hard work. I think he ran for, let's have a quick look at that. I think he ended up with about 270 metres. It was some crazy, crazy stuff from Gutherson. 279 metres from Gutho. In his return game from injury, from a knee injury at that, he was like, nah. Against the Sharks too, which are one of the better defensive sides in the comp, they just couldn't contain Gutho, and I absolutely love that. And just within that opening set as well, of course, ended things with Mitchell Moses putting in a pinpoint kick down into, I believe it was their right-hand corner, and just held up with perfect way. And it's just, from that, you're like, yep, what can you do? This is how the Eels were. It makes me really upset in a way that Brad Arthur was sacked, because like, what? There's no coaches out there on the market in the first place. Brad Arthur was without his captain and fullback and his halfback, who's the best player on the team. Like, what do you need Brad Arthur to do from his troops? I think the Eels, I don't think it came from a game plan or anything. I really don't think it was a Brad Arthur problem. I think it was a lot of other players not putting in the effort that they needed. And sure enough, once these two players come back, they kill it. I think Brad Arthur should have been given the opportunity to see out the season. If he still underperforms with a full strength side, then you can move him on. But honestly, what do you do now? You've moved him on. You've got Trent Barrett stepping up as an interim coach. I assume Trent Barrett won't be signed as their head coach for next year. So, like, you're just sort of wasting everyone's time a bit. I don't know. It's a bit odd to me, but what's done is done now. So back to the game. It was just a really noticeable, different and inspired performance from the Eels. Really happy for them. You know, you guys all know I say it every week. I love upset victories. I love underdog stories. Unless it's the Warriors, I don't mind what teams win. I'm essentially always going to be rooting for the underdog. Sharks are up there with my third team. They're my mother's team as well. So I have a soft spot for the Sharkies, but I'm here for the Eels to get a victory here because it means a lot more to them in the grand scheme of things, in my opinion. So really happy for them. And they played some really good footy. Yeah, they still leaked a few points, but it is a Sharks team after all. They're one of the better attacking teams in the comp. They're one of the better teams in the comp in general. A few losses on the trot now. People are worried about them. I'm not too worried about them. I think maybe it has a little bit of an effect on their confidence, but I'm hoping that they can just keep reminding themselves that in the few games before that, they beat Melbourne in Melbourne without Nicho Hines. And then they beat the Red Hot Roosters. Like, they can do it. They can pull off these victories. They were without Nicho Hines. They were without Cam McInnes. And honestly, I do think Cam McInnes might have been the bigger loss in this one. We will get to, let's just have a quick look. Let's go straight to the Sharkies now. We always like looking at the underdogs, the losers of the game and how their team performed and their standout performances before we move over to the winners, so we can spend a little bit more time on the winners. But this Sharks team, their middle forwards, Hazelton ran for 64 metres, Korfusi ran for 61 metres. Jack Williams actually did just upgrade to 100 metres, so he did make that triple figures. He did it also in 60 minutes, and Teague Wilton only 115 metres from 12 runs was really good as well from Teague Wilton. But their middle forwards were the problem, I should say. CSF Talakai was good in his time on the field. I do think he needs to have more. I don't know whether he's middle or on the edge, but he just needs to be out there impacting the game more. Toby Rudolph, 51 metres. Royce Hunt, 60 metres. Braden Hamlin, ULA, 49 metres. The thing is, all of these metre counts are decent for the amount of runs that they're having. Like, it's 5 runs for 49 metres from Hamlin, ULA. You're almost averaging, 10 metres a run. 60 metres from 5 runs from Hunt. You're averaging over 10 metres a run. 51 metres from 6 runs from Rudolph. Like, they're decent numbers from those ones, but you just need more. It's really... It's a tough little position that the Sharks are in because they play quite differently from a lot of other teams. They're very stacked in that forward pack, in their middle forward department, so there's a lot of rotations there, hence why your starting players of Korfusi and Hazelton are playing less than half a game of footy each, like 39 minutes from Hazelton, 36 from Korfusi, and then their bench players, 22 minutes from Hamlin ULA, 15 Hunt, 33 Rudolph, and 36 Talakai. So it's an interesting way of playing. I understand the appeal of it. You can just keep using, they're all really good players in their own right. You can just keep them all refreshed and put them on for shorter stints and get through a lot of work. But I think in today's day and age, it's the best thing is to have at least one gun who sets the tone and gets through that work. And I think, obviously they get Adam Fanua-Blake next year. He's going to be so massive for them. But in a game like this, they needed someone out there for longer minutes. Put it in perspective, the Eels, their front rowers this season, I think, have been quite poor, especially Regan Campbell-Gillard. But in this game, Campbell-Gillard punched out 63 metres, and he was incredible. 15 runs, he ran for 179 metres. And in comparison, Junior Paolo, 15 runs for 149 metres as well, in only 42 minutes. That's 3 minutes more than Hazelton, for example, and he's almost tripled the metre count. Well, maybe not almost tripled, but well over doubled the metre count of Tom Hazelton. So, I don't know, you just need an absolute Adonis out there, and the Sharkies get that next year, and they have been winning games, don't get me wrong. But I think there's something there that they need a little bit more out there. And I think Cam McInnes, his absence from that side would have straightened their attack a lot more. Getting in behind the ruck, you guys know how much of a fan I am of that. And the way he does it, I think he's the best in the game at his runs in and behind the ruck. So I think that would have been really good for the Sharkies. I think they needed that. Jack Williams had a decent game, but he's not Cam McInnes. Even Britton Nicola, I think he's a far cry from himself this season, in my opinion. He's nowhere near the player he was last year, and I'm a little bit worried. Like, I'm more so thinking there's got to be something happening off the field because he's such a good footballer, and I think he knows he's a good footballer, like not in an arrogant sort of way, but he knows the ability he possesses. He's a great, great player. So it's really interesting to see him not getting anywhere near the heights of last year. I know a lot of the heights of last year were scoring tries and running really good lines, and sure, you don't need to be scoring tries to be impacting the game, and I think that's what I'm after from Britton Nicola. He needs to be more effective. In saying that, Teague Wilton, for instance, thought he was good in attack. I thought he had some really, really poor misses in defense, which has been a bit of a problem for Teague Wilton since he's come into the NRL. I remember last year, the Sharkies struggled a lot with their defence on their left edge, and they put Wade Graham back into that starting side for the sort of back end of the season, and he really shored that up. Teague Wilton, he's got a bright future. He also captained this game. From everything I know about Teague Wilton, from progressing through their juniors to now, even at such a young age, I believe he's 24, so he's around about my age. He's always been earmarked as a future captain. He's a real leader of their side. So he does a lot right, Teague Wilton. I think if he can fix up that defence, he's going to be one hell of a player. And the Sharkies invest so much into him. They believe in him. They love him. And I love that for the club. He's a junior. So I want him to be the best he can be. But his defence in this one was just a bit poor, in my opinion. Like, he still made 40 tackles, don't get me wrong, but the 5 misses and 4 ineffective tackles, there were some not so pretty ones in there. So, yeah, there's definitely there's a few things that the Sharkies need to fix up, but let's look at a few of their positives once again. William Kennedy, I thought he had maybe his best game of the season. 22 runs for 220 metres did Kennedy go through this game, including that fantastic bit of play where he ran across field from his about the 10-metre line out from the in goal, found Ronaldo Mulatalo, put him away for an insane break, and then Ronaldo found Kennedy back inside, and Kennedy scored a try. One of the tries of the season, to be honest. If you guys missed that one, go back and do yourselves a favour and go back and watch that. It was genuinely insane. Such a fantastic effort from just both of those players. But what I love about Kennedy is he does the right things as a fullback. Sure, he made that play, he passed that ball, and he's put Ronaldo into space. But he's already gassed from making that run, and he still just supports the entire time as a good fullback should. He could just be letting Ronaldo, they've got it out of their own end. They've already done their job. But no, he pushes up. He waits for an opportunity, and of course, Ronaldo, with his freakish ability, beats half the team and finds Kennedy back inside for a try. So that's really good stuff from Kennedy. Doesn't get the raps he deserves. Obviously, there's a lot of superstars in our game at the moment, especially in that fullback position. But I think Kennedy, he well and truly holds his own against all of them. Maybe he doesn't have the highlight plays of a lot of them, but he's so safe all the time. I love the role he plays in this side. So I thought he was superb. Sione Katoa, we of course mentioned, he made our team of the week. Another double from him, 171 metres from 14 runs as well. A nice little line break and 6 tackle breaks from him as well. Important to note that William Kennedy actually punched out 9 tackle breaks of his own as well. So shout out him. Ronaldo Mulatalo. Actually, let's have a quick talk about Jesse Ramey, and I'll just run through the stats because I love him very dearly. 15 runs from Ramey, 180 metres once again, try assist and line break. In fairness, there was a moment, one of the Micah Sevo tries where they go down that left-hand side and Micah Sevo steamrolls Kennedy to score. Ramey just slacked off in defence after the ball had gone past him. It wasn't necessarily his fault that the break was made. Like, there was just good play from the Eels to identify that there was a overlap there, head down the short side. They found that space, really good stuff. But, maybe Ramey doesn't stop that try, but he just, as soon as it's all gone past him and Sevo's away down that wing, he just stops chasing, and, Kennedy gets steamrolled. You've got to be it back there to support your fullback. Even if he still scores, you just chase, you turn and chase. The time it takes Sevo to run over the top of Kennedy, could be the time of you getting there. And you're a big boy, Ramian. You make that tackle, you put him in the touch. Even if you don't, it's the effort that counts. Maybe these are the things that went against him when not getting picked for New South Wales. And again, don't get me wrong, I'm probably Jesse Ramian's biggest fan. I absolutely love Ramian. I wholeheartedly believe he should be in Origin. I think he'd do a great job for our state. But maybe these are those things that just went against him a little bit. I don't see him too often. This is one of those ones that I have just seen and I wanted to point out because I want the best out of these players. It was just a little bit of a dampener on his game because I do think he was still quite good. Calero got through his usual work, 18 runs, 166 metres. Ronaldo Mulitalo, we mentioned with that incredible try assist, I suppose, in that break that he did, but he had 20 runs for 232 metres. Of course, he had that try assist and line break that we already mentioned. Yeah, 9 tackle breaks from him as well. Just really good stuff from their back five. And I guess that's another thing about the Sharkies is we talk about their forward pack that I've just mentioned, not getting through the work. Their back five gets through a lot of work. But then that's where I'm almost like, well, if their back five's getting through that much work, it's to let your forward pack, be refreshed and, really good defensively. I don't overly think the Sharks forward pack is like an out-and-out defensive machine. If we look at some of the tackles and efficiency here, every player in their forward pack was under 90%. And that's still like good. But there's a lot of missed tackles around. The only player who didn't miss a tackle is Oregon Kaufusi and Braden Hamlin-Uele off the bench. But there's still, ineffective tackles. Obviously, they had to do a lot of defense. Blake Brayley made 55 tackles and he had a 90% efficiency. So, it's a bit crazy when your hooker's out there making by far and away the most tackles and he has the best efficiency. Hazelton missed 3 tackles and had 2 ineffective. Kaufusi, we mentioned, was good in defense. Nikora missed 3, 2 ineffective. Wilton missed 5, 4 ineffective. Williams missed 1, 4 ineffective. CSF Talakai missed 7, 3 ineffective. So maybe that's when I talk about CSF Talakai getting on the field to impact the game more. Maybe that's an issue there, is the defense. So, I don't know. It's not the end of the world for me, like in my opinion, for the Sharkies. Maybe I have a bit more hope for them than others do. But definitely a few worrying signs. Some other good players. I thought Braden Trindle was really good. Coming back from his suspension or whatever it was, being stood down, I suppose. Yeah, his kicking game, his efforts to chase his kicks. I think it was a bit of a shame that he was the one always leading his own kick chases. There wasn't as much enthusiasm from the Sharks as I thought there needed to be. They looked a bit flat, and I think it's represented in the reason in how they lost this game. But I thought Trindle was really good, and it shows that this battle for that 5/8 role, now that he's back, between him and Atkinson, it's going to be quite hard, but that's good. Competition's a really good thing to have these two fighting it out, playing their best footy for that role. To partner Nico Hines, I think is going to be only a good thing for the Sharkies. And shout out Atkinson for scoring his first NRL try as well. But yeah, beyond that, we've sort of mentioned everybody else. Just not the best performance from the Sharkies, but I hope, and I'm pretty confident they can turn it around. Over to the Parramatta Eels. We've already mentioned Gutho and his work rate, but God, he was just so immense for the Eels. Just really put the team on his back. He's such a leader. There's a reason he's a captain, and there's a reason that even after how good Blaze Talangi has been playing at fullback, Clint Gutherson, as soon as he's healthy, straight back into that position, and he does this. Now, it's going to be interesting. Bailey Simonson has just been diagnosed with a partial ACL tear, I believe, so he is going to miss the season, or the rest of the season, I believe. Not as, severe as a full ACL, so hopefully he can be back a lot sooner, but it's still quite disappointing and really, really upsetting for him. I think he's been playing some really good footy as of late. Since he's moved back to the wing, I think he's been really, really good. Scored another try in this one, did Bailey Simonson. And that's the thing, he played this game with that partial ACL tear, still scored a try, 15 runs, 166 metres. So really good stuff from him. If he is out, I'd assume you move Sean Russell back to the wing and bring in Blaze Talangi either at centre, or you move Clint Gutherson to the centres and Talangi to fullback. Now, I'm not sure what the answer is. I think there's merits to both. Obviously, they get the win with Gutho back, and, you don't really want to change a winning formula, but I'm not sure Talangi really can. Maybe he can play centre to a decent click. But I think he's a better fullback, and I think Gutherson maybe shoring up the defence in the centres might be the best thing for him. But we'll have to wait and see for team lists to really see what happens there. But gutting for Simonson. Anyway, back to the Eels. Gutherson, fantastic. Mike Acevo, almost made our team of the week, scored a good 2 tries in this one. Still want a bit more out of his work rate, but it was good to see that, just the way he eyed up one-on-one with Kennedy, and there was no going around, there was no step. It was literally beeline towards him. He changed his line not to get away, but to run directly into him and just run over the top of him. And that's the confidence I want to see. Hopefully we can see a bit more out of Mike Acevo from that. But I thought he was really, really good in this game. So shout out him. Will Penasini was fantastic. Scored a nice try, just steamrolling Kel Iro, who's a good defender in his own right, so love that from Penasini. Sean Russell was great in the centres, really good hands to send Mike Acevo away for some of those breaks and tries. Dylan Brown, we mentioned, 13 runs, 144 metres, a try, couple close half breaks, just he was really, really damaging out there. Mitch Moses, just everyone in this Eels team, I'm just going to rattle off names because everyone in this team was superb, but Mitchy Moses, his return was really felt throughout the team. He controlled everything. He was playing short sides. He was doing everything. It's just really exciting to see. He's a great, great player. And, fantastic to have him back. Regan Campbell-Gillard we mentioned, so I won't spend too much time on him, but I do think it was his best game of the season. I thought he was one of the better players of the entire round. He was superb. He's not just, the way he ran the ball, but his efforts in defense and attack, he was just so passionate and he really led from the front. So shout out Regan Campbell-Gillard. Brendan Hands, really good at hooker. I always thought Hands should have been there from the start. No knock to Joey Lussick, but I'm a bit of a Hands fan, and I thought he was really good in this one. So really good to see him have the game that he did, and I assume he will be where they go going forward. Junior Paolo, fantastic. We mentioned his stats in the run meters, but he had a line break, 8 tackle breaks as well, and of course the 2 offloads. Kelma Talangi, 4 offloads. Bryce Cartwright, 4 offloads. This is the way the Eels play. Will Penasini had 3. Bailey Simonson had 2. Mitch Moses had 1. This is the way the Eels play. 2 from Sean Lane off the bench as well, who off the bench, I think Sean Lane coming through the middle has been really, really good. So, obviously he's always been a second rower, and I like him as a second rower. I think this year he hasn't been that great. In fact, I think he's been pretty poor overall, but I did like how he looked coming off the bench in recent weeks. But it's really interesting for the Eels because everyone in their team performed this game. They didn't even use Blaise Talangi, who was 14th man, so they only used 3 men on their bench, and even those players just were fantastic. Of course, the Sharks were quite poor, very, very flat, didn't offer much, and their defence wasn't great. But I thought this Eels team, they can definitely win a lot more games with the way that they played here. I thought every single player in this game was fantastic. Every player was great. There was 2 players in their entire team, 3 players, including Sean Lane off the bench, that ran for less than 100 metres. We had 91 from Sean Lane, 61 from Hands, your hooker, which is a bloody good knock from hooker in itself, and Mitch Moses, your halfback, ran for 90. Every other player in the game ran for over 100 metres, including their bench players who were out there for 27 minutes, like Wirrama Greg. Just really, really good stuff from the Eels. Definitely the recipe to moving forward, so I hope this is a win that can spark them, but I thought they were fantastic. I spent a lot of time on this team, or on this game in general, so we'll move over to the second. I think I'll spend a little bit less time on this one because I did not enjoy this game. The Knights going down to the Bulldogs, 32-2, the Bulldogs won this one. Now, I was lucky enough to be at this game. I got some free tickets courtesy of my mate Halsey, which you guys, if you follow on the Instagram, you will see on the tipping page, on the tipping posts, I should say, which we're all going shocking in at the moment. But yeah, got some free tickets to this one. It's the second game I had the luxury of seeing live this year. Of course, I went and saw the Knights play my Warriors in Newcastle as well. Both games I've seen in the piss and down rain, and just not good footy being played. The Knights were really, really poor. Now, the Bulldogs, fair dues to them. Their defence has been incredible this year. Something that's been slept on. A lot of people still don't really rate them, including myself, to be honest. I'm guilty for putting them down a bit as well and not putting them up to the standard of other teams. Now, I don't think their attack is at that standard, but their defense for for the team, for the roster that they have, I think their defense is right up there with the best in the competition. And to keep a Knights team coming off the bye at home to 2 points to 0 tries scored is such an incredible effort. So, yeah. Also, the Bulldogs had 2 players sin-binned in this. So there was a 20-minute period where the Knights were versing 12 men and they still couldn't score a try. So that just goes to show how incredible the Bulldogs' defense was. Let's get right to it, though. It was just a shocker. It was not a good game of football. The Knights didn't throw anything at the Bulldogs, to be honest. So, yeah, the Bulldogs' defense was fantastic, but there wasn't much offered from the Knights. They were so flat, so boring. And I understood it came from a game plan that they beat the Warriors in the wet, with. But I don't know. There was just nothing offered. There's not a Knights player that we'll get to it, but I don't remember any Knights players having really that good of a game. There's a couple here and there that had decent individual performances, but the Bulldogs, they came up answers with it came up with answers to everything. Just to be honest, I just feel bad because if I was a Knights fan and I spent money to go and watch my team play, and in the pouring rain, if I spent money to sit in the pouring rain and watch them play like that, it would be awful. Like, I spent money to watch the Warriors play, but keep in mind, the Warriors were away from home, and yeah, well, shit, and we played shit. But at least I only get to see the Warriors once every bloody blue moon. And yeah, I feel very sorry for all that. There was 21,000 or something Knights fans in attendance. Well, 21,000 people at the stadium in general. You presume a lot of them are Knights fans, and you put up that performance at home coming off the bye in the conditions that all your fans are bracing, and they've spent money to see that. It's just shit house. It's not good enough. And obviously, the teams don't just do it for fans. It's a lot more that goes into it. I think just the fact that they're playing and they want to win for their own right. But we always talk about, the players without the players, we don't have a game. Without the fans, we don't have a game as well. Without people investing money to watch these teams play, we don't have a game of rugby league. We don't have the NRL. So 21,204 people spent money to go watch this game, and you put up that performance. It's not good enough. Just, yeah, really, really unfortunate for all Knights fans who were at that game. I'm not a Knights supporter, and even I felt like I deserved money back. I didn't even pay for tickets, and I felt like I deserved money back. So just a really poor game. Let's go through some of their standouts, though. Maybe a not so standout to start. David Armstrong had his worst game of the season, maybe his worst game. He had a shocker, maybe his second game, but maybe I'm getting him confused. Regardless, not a good game from David Armstrong in this one. Few errors. He dropped one really early on that I believe that the Bulldogs scored off. There's another one when Josh Addo-Carr made a break down the left-hand side and he put a chip over the top, and David Armstrong just fell over at the back, and then, yeah, Bulldogs score off that. Look, obviously, he's having a fantastic season. I'm not trying to put him down. Just a night he'll want to forget, and I'm sure he will. He'll put it behind him, and he'll come back better from it. He's having a great season, David Armstrong. But yeah, definitely not his best performance in this one. In the rain, in the conditions, and being a young player, a lot of things play a part in it. I'm not criticising him all that much. But yeah, definitely not the best game. Another player I didn't think had a good game, Greg Marju. I'm not seeing much from Marju at the moment. He's also a shadow of himself. Just really poor errors, lots of errors in this game, just taking a hit up, which, you like the hit ups. He does a lot of work, but he'll take that hit up and he just drops the ball. And it's always like that with Marju. You sort of wince every time he takes a hit up because you're like, shit, is he going to drop the ball? And then you wince and he get even harder when he gets up to play the ball because, he's suspect for a little drop while playing the ball. I'm a massive Greg Marju fan again, someone I own in Supercoach as well. So I watch closely, and he has a lot more good to his game than bad. Don't get me wrong, one of the better wingers of the season last year, but he's nowhere near that form at the moment. Hopefully he can get back to it because, yeah, not seeing enough from Greg Marju at the moment. I thought Dane Gagai was solid, as he always is. Had some really strong moments in defence where Bronson Xerri tried to use his speed to get around him, and the old legs of Dane Gagai just showed he still got it, and I thought he was really good. 11 tackle breaks from Dane Gagai as well. Apparently there was 10 from Marju, but honestly, I don't recall any. The halves thought both Cogger and Hastings were quite poor. I think Cogger had the better of the two. Like, he had a few moments where he looked decently threatening. There was a half break that he made where he offloaded to Hastings, and all Hastings had to do was catch the ball and and it's a try, and it didn't happen. There was a put down. But yeah, I don't know how critical I can be of the halves. I think this was the game plan of the Knights going into it, just the way that they played their footy in the wet. So they stuck to that game plan. But I think it gets to a stage where you're down by this margin and it's not working. You just need to go, okay, boys, listen up. We're doing something different. That's what a halfback is. That's what the halves are there for. I know your coach has this game plan. You listen to your coach. Sometimes the coach's game plan can be wrong, and that's not saying that the coach is always wrong and you always disrespect the coach, but sometimes you have to get out there and go, boys, let's improv. We're doing this now. I don't think the halves in this game really did that, so quite disappointing from them. Look, yeah, there wasn't too much for the Knights, unfortunately. I thought Dylan Lucas had decent moments. I thought Adam Elliott had a decent work rate. Tyson Frizzell was good coming off the bench. I liked what he was putting out there. Not a lot went right for the Knights in this one, so the less said, the better. Yeah, probably their poorest performance of the season. But we'll move over to the Bulldogs. Of course, the actual winners in this one. Great game once again. Connor Tracy, you guys know how much I love Connor Tracy. Played 70 minutes into this game because, of course, he was sin-binned with... I think it was a fair sin bin. I think a lot of others are saying it was a tussle for the ball. Seeing it live and, even being a Connor Tracy fan, I thought the sin bin was fair. It wasn't the most obvious sin bin, but for me, I thought it was fair. But even in the 70 minutes on the field, he still came up with 25 runs, 193 metres, and he had a try assist and line break assist because he's a weapon. Bronson Xerri had his moments. Jacob Kiraz got through a lot of work despite being in the centres. Addo Carr scored 2 tries and looked electric as ever. And then he suffered I believe it was a hamstring tear, and now it's looking like Addo Carr might be out for 10 weeks, which is absolutely gutting for not only him, but for the Bulldogs and even the potential of Origin. So really sad to see that happen, but thought he was so dynamic while he was on the field, was Josh Addo Carr. Toby Sexton was really good. I think he's definitely the way to go forward at halfback. He, of course, also got sin-binned. Can't recall what Toby got sin-binned for, though. Yeah, that one escapes me, but he also got sin-binned in this one, but I thought he was pretty decent, controlled the game well. Jacob Preston, we mentioned in our Team of the Week, exceptional. We're a bit gutted if you guys saw the Supercoach video. We always talked about bringing him in, and then we didn't. We ended up using one trade to do bloody Nico Hines to James Tedesco, and then Tedesco went into Origin, so we had to change that to Joseph Manu. But originally we planned to get in Jacob Preston for Angus Crichton. Would have been good in hindsight because scored 2 tries, had a line break, and he punched out over 100 Supercoach points. So pretty gutting not to own him, but really good just watching him play his footy. Back to an 80-minute role. He was superb. He's got to play that role for the rest of the season, in my opinion. Obviously, he's got a fair few more weeks while Kickout's out where he can do that. But I think getting back to that 80-minute role, he's a future captain of this team, in my opinion. Maybe not, to be honest. If they've got bloody Stephen Crichton, who's 23, 24, maybe he's the captain forever. But for me, I see a lot of captain qualities in Jacob Preston. Moving on, Reid Marnie, we, of course, put in our Team of the Week. It's not just, the 3 try assists he had, which were all superb, but his kicking game was insane. Lots of kicks just down into the corner, just controlling the game, sitting up perfectly or perfect way where it would just either sit up in the corner or just bounce out and give their team a rest. He was so good, Reid Marnie. But I think he was probably the best player on the field in this game, and that's why he made my Team of the Week. I'm not the biggest Reid Marnie fan. He's a pest, and I don't really like the grubs of our game, but obviously there's a place for him. I do like the I believe it was the podcast that Josh Reynolds had recently where he passed down the book of grubs to Reid Marnie saying, I got it from Mick Ennis and now I'm passing it on to you. I love that sort of stuff. It's a bit of banter. There's a place for grubs in our game, and it works. Like, he gets people off their game. He got Jacob, I believe it was Jacob Saifiti, sent from the field in the final few minutes just from the niggle that he gets up to. Of course, ideally, I'd like it out of the game. I'm not really here for it. But the way he plays his footy, he's a fantastic player as Reid Marnie, so I thought he was superb in this one. Beyond that, Jamin Salmon was pretty decent. Josh Curran, we mentioned off the bench, scored a nice try with his effort. And I'm going to mispronounce the name, but Lipoi Hopoi, stuffed that up a million times. Lipoi Hopoi, the interchange forward off the bench. He was fantastic in his NRL debut, so congratulations to you, Hopoi. My bad. But he was really, really good. So there's another little shining light for the Bulldogs in that one. But yeah, as I said, really good game, really defensive-minded effort. They controlled the game so well, so got to shout them out. They are playing some really good footy. I believe that gets them into is that top 8 for the Bulldogs now? What are we looking at? No, they're currently in 9th, but they're also, they're tied for 8th with the Roosters, the Cowboys, the Knights, and the Dragons. It's just points differential that has them currently outside the top 8 at the moment. But yeah, they're playing some really, really good footy. So shout out the Bulldogs. But we will move on to the next game of the round to try and get through this a bit quicker. I don't have the most time on my hands with end of uni, so we'll get through this. The Panthers going down to the St. George Illawarra Dragons, 22-10. The Dragons win this one. This one's my bad, to be honest. I made a bit of a joke to the boys in the group chat saying how we've put out all these bets that we put up onto the Instagram, which again, go follow to have a look at them, except you don't want to follow them at the moment because we're not winning any of them. But yeah, we've put out all these bets onto the Instagram that we're jumping on and, tips, not so much tips for people to follow, but what we're doing ourselves. And I haven't won any of those tips so far, but then the tips that I put on in private, I'm winning. So, it's easy to say that from behind a screen with no evidence, but I am winning those ones. So I'm winning a few bets just that I'm doing individually. And I put in a little screenshot to the chat having a bit of a joke. When Jesse McLean scored in the 35th minute, I had a multi on Penrith to win 13 plus and Paul Alamotti and Jesse McLean to be anytime try scorers. And when McLean scored that try, both of those players were, they'd scored their tries. All I needed was Panthers 13 plus and they were up 10-0. I'm like, yep, easy money. I've won another bet and I haven't even shared it to the public. Well, the footy gods, they didn't like that because the second half, the Dragons came out and absolutely trounced them. Panthers didn't score another fucking point for the rest of the game, and the Dragons went on to win 22-10. Down 10-0 at halftime, and then they win the second half 22-0 against the Panthers. Yes, it's a Panthers team without their origin players, but this is a Dragons team without Ben Hunt, and we know that without Ben Hunt, the Dragons aren't even a bloody NRL team. And here they are, playing some great rugby league. I gave them no hope in hell of winning this game. It's not just Ben Hunt that was out. Jaden Sewer's been fantastic for them. They had Michaeli Ravalawa, Jack Bird out. I think their other winger was out. Zach Lomax is out. Lots of their best players all out. They had a lot of players out, and yes, Panthers had a lot out too, but we know the Panthers system. It's next man up. I expected a big win, and they started so well. Ivan Cleary would not be happy after that performance because they had it. And then, it was a tale of two halves, really. So, yeah, massive congratulations to the Dragons. I gave them no hope, and they came out and, absolutely played fantastically. But it is my fault. I'll take full responsibility. I apologise to the footy gods for even, thinking that the Panthers were going to win this one 13-0 and bragging about it in the group chat. But moving on to the Panthers. Look, you can't be too upset. You can definitely be upset and disappointed. They were deserved losers in this one. They didn't fire anything in that second half. In the grand scheme of things, long term, is it going to impact them all that much? Probably not. They are still without a lot of players. It's not just Nathan Cleary is injured. You've got Dylan Edwards, Isaiah Yeo, who are out. Moses Liotta picked up a bit of an injury in this game too, another one of their enforcers. Liam Martin's out. Like, lots and lots of players. Jerome Luai's out. Brian To'o's out. Jeez, it's just, the more I think about it, the more players they have out. So, they're expected, they always pick up a few losses over the origin period, which it happens. But it is a disappointing game, one that I think they still should have won, and it might make a difference towards the back end of the season, whether or not they're a top 4 or a top 2 side or even minor premiership. We'll have to find out. But disappointing game. In terms of their standouts, well, we mentioned Paul Alamotti in our team of the week. I thought he was really, really good. Definitely, look, even if Taylor May is to be reinstated to the NRL from the no-fault stand-down policy, which I don't believe is going to happen this season, I believe he's set for a trial next year. And, with the NRL's no-fault stand-down policy, he's essentially going to have to wait till next year to be reinstated. I think Paul Alamotti has been the better of the two players this season in general. I think Alamotti's played some really, really good footy every time he's got a chance. So we'll have to see what the Panthers do in that situation next year. But for now, Alamotti as the way forward in their centres, I absolutely love. He was really, really good. 18 runs, 159 metres. He scored a try. He had a line break. He even kicked a couple of conversions, which I didn't know he had that in him. So, sorry, he kicked one conversion. He missed the other. So 50% conversion rate. But I didn't know he could do that. And he went out and he kicked for him as well. So thought he was just really, really good. 9 tackle breaks from Paul Alamotti as well. So, Jesus Christ. But Jesse McLean, they've got a lot of raps on Jesse. He's probably going to be the replacement for Sania Taruva next season, which I'm all for. He was really, really good. Besides the try he scored, which was just really good effort, he just showed a lot of, effort in all of his runs. He wasn't making the most amount of meters. In fact, he was, he's quite a lighter body compared to a lot of other wingers. Has a lot more muscle mass to put on, which I think he can definitely grow into that frame. Still only 19 years of age is Jesse McLean, and he's running into the teeth of a big forward pack in the Dragons. Players like Jack DeBellin who cut you in half, Francis Molo, like Raymond Vaitala-Mariner, Luciano Leilua. There's some big boys in this Dragons team, and he wasn't afraid of that contact, so thought he was quite good out there. Definitely a future in our game for Jesse McLean. Beyond that, not too much. I thought James Fisher-Harris was really good. We talk about how he's the enforcer for this side. He sets the tone in attack and defense. Well, with the injuries and, players being out, he ended up playing 72 minutes this game. And in that 72 minutes, he punched out 18 runs for 158 metres himself. And he put out 49 tackles with 1 miss in almost a full game of footy. It was... How did I not put him in my team of the week? Who did I put in my team of the week? Who are the front rowers? Jesus. I've already forgotten, but that is an incredible effort. God, he should have been on my bench. I didn't realise 49 tackles. Far out. Anyway, James Fisher-Harris, he was fantastic. Beyond that, Liam Henry, I believe he went close to the record of all-time tackles. 71 tackles from Liam Henry in his first start in the NRL. I believe it was at 78, and they obviously backtracked and got that back to where it should have been. But 71 tackles from him, 61 tackles from Lindsay Smith. To be honest, in the second half, the Panthers had no possession at all. They were just getting rolled by the Dragons. So a lot of these tackles make sense. Mitch Kenny made 45 himself. He did miss 8, though, which is quite incredible. Almost double-figure misses. Speaking of double-figure misses, Jack Cole missed 9, so he was quite close to that as well. Look, a game that you'd put behind you for the Panthers, but not their best. I'm still certain that Ivan Cleary will give them a bit of a battering verbally and hopefully get them up for it next time. But there were some, players that they really put in their effort, and you've got to give them their credit for that. So, yeah, and congratulations to Trent Toilau and Preston Ricky for their NRL debuts in this one as well. Over to the Dragons, it is... Oh, sorry, and lastly, I thought Dane Laurie was quite good at fullback. Over to the Dragons, the winners of this one. Starting with their wingers, Sione Finau, he's been quite highly touted in their grades. He's playing some really, really good footy in New South Wales Cup this season. He was really good from the first kickoff of the second half. He made a bloody line break and just almost went the length of the field. But really good game from him. He had 19 runs for 184 metres. Again, he's a decently tall player, but he's still got a lot of growing to do into that frame. Still quite skinny, quite lean. So for him to be doing that much effort and making that many metres is really, really good. I think he's got a big future, and from everything I'm hearing about him, he really, really does. Matt Fionney, who made it onto our bench team of the week, did he? No, he made it to our starting team of the week. I thought he was really, really good. The try that he scored where he bumped off might have been Dane Laurie, I can't remember. But again, it was similar to a Mike Acevo where it was the winger, but he caught the ball and sort of drove into the contact. He didn't try and go away. He just drove into the contact, ran over someone and scored in the corner. I thought that was really good. And again, his work rate out of his own end, 20 runs, 173 metres from him. Really good stuff. Max Fianet was quite good defensively. Moses Sully was good. Everyone in this Dragons team was good, to be honest. It's just a team that I didn't think that they could get it done, and they did. So they're all going to get raps. Kyle Flanagan, thought he controlled the game really, really well. Loved what he was doing out there. Jesse Marschke was fantastic. Again, I believe in his first starting appearance as a halfback at NRL later, at NRL level, he was superb, had some line breaks, had a couple of try assists, 10 runs for 75 metres. Really, really good stuff from Jesse Marschke. He wasn't intimidated isn't the word, but he wasn't overawed by the situation, by the fact that he's versing the Penrith Panthers in his first start as a halfback in the NRL. He was so, so good. So I love that from the halves of the Dragons. Jack de Belin, we mentioned, he made our team of the week. Probably should have been James Tedesco. Probably should have been James Fisher-Harris. But de Belin, he still ran 24 times for 176 metres of his own. He had 28 tackles as well for 0 misses, a couple of offloads. Just really good stuff from de Belin. Probably definitely should have been James Fisher-Harris, but I thought de Belin was fantastic at front row. Jacob Little was really good, had his moments. Luciano Leilua, he was really good. The thing about Luciano in this game was he was just constantly screaming for the ball, and I love that. The thing about Luciano over the seasons past has been his work rate and his effort areas. In this, he was just, give me the fucking ball. I'm better than them. I'm going to run over the top of them. Give me the ball. And he did. He was just really, really good out there. But it was his second row partner that stole the show, really. Raymond Faitala-Mariner punched out 80 minutes of his own, 15 runs for 171 metres, line break, try, 11 tackle breaks, 1 offload, and 45 tackles with 0 misses. This is Raymond Faitala-Mariner. This is at his peak. This is him. And he's always had that. I don't know what went wrong at the Bulldogs. We won't get into it all, but he came to the Dragons with a shot and looking for something fresh. I assume they got him on decent value, and he can put out this sort of stuff. So I think he's a fantastic signing, a real Shane Flanagan sort of player. Sort of reminds me of Anthony Tupou and the sort of players, Jason Pakuya even, the players that Shane Flanagan really shined with. I don't know English. Whatever one of those words is correct, what Shane Flanagan did with them, that's Raymond Faitala-Mariner. He was sensational. Beyond that, I thought the bench for the Dragons was really, really good as well. All of their players, Blake Laurie, Ben Murdoch-Masila, Toby and Ryan Couchman, had really good games. Toby Couchman specifically played almost half the game, scored a try, and just ran really, really well in attack and hit well in defence. So I think there's definitely a spot for both of these twins. Honestly, this entire Dragons team, everyone in it, their performance as a whole, to be down at halftime 10-0. They hadn't scored a point against the Panthers, and they came out. Obviously, the rev up from Shane Flanagan worked, but it's really good when you get a response from your team like that because they were so, so good. And, again, we talk about underdog stories. I love seeing this sort of stuff. Dragons are my father's team as well. We're a family of supporting a bunch of different teams, so really good to see Dad's team get up for this one as well. So, really good stuff from the Dragons and a win that they desperately needed to keep their season afloat. Moving on, however, we will look into the Dolphins and the Raiders. Game of the round by far. The Raiders getting a very close win, 26-25 in Golden Point. They win this one. Really enjoyed watching this one. I didn't get to see it live, unfortunately, with work and all, but avoid spoilers, got home, got to sit down and just tune in, and the twists and turns, every player, both teams, it was just back and forth the entire game. It was so good to watch. I don't know who deserved to win it more, so I'm happy that it is just when it comes down to a game like this, it's just, I don't mind who wins. Both teams had it been a Jermaine Asako field goal that hit and they win the game, or if it's the Raiders winning it the way that they did with Jordan Rapana providing not only his first field goal in, NRL history or in his NRL career, but his second as well to, level the game and win the game. It's just so good. And because of that, I genuinely think, well, not even because of that, I think before that, Jordan Rapana was going to go down as a Canberra Raiders great, but God, he definitely is. And if you don't think Jordan Rapana is a Canberra Raiders absolute legend, you're sort of kidding yourself. Maybe he hasn't hit the heights of players in the 80s who won those premierships, but he has bled for this club and the effort he puts in and the way, just at his age, to be doing this stuff. Nobody knows what position he even is. He's doing it at fullback when he's a winger and he's kicking field goals, which, wingers don't do. So, Asako did in this game, so shut me up there. It's just shout out Jordan Rapana. I absolutely love this sort of stuff. But, look, just a really, really good game. Really enjoyed this one. If you didn't get to see it, this result's been spoiled for you, so maybe it won't have that effect. But, yeah, you'd sort of be kicking yourself if you didn't get to see this one, even if you didn't support these sides like myself. It's just a really great game of football to watch. But let's start by looking at the Dolphins. Once again, as I just said, both teams deserve to win here, so it's almost a shame that somebody had to lose. Ended up being the Dolphins, but I don't think that they had a poor game because of the result. I think a lot of their players really put in really good shifts. Trey Fuller, he's electric as always. I didn't realise I knew he was small, but I think it was after that Jack Bostock try maybe, or something like that, where everybody's clapping hands and whatever. He is so tiny. He's so small. For him to be throwing his body around the way he is incredible. In fact, the reason he came off this field is because Joseph Tarpany made a break, probably the biggest player on the field, and Trey Fuller just threw his body at the legs of Tarpany and cut him down in a brilliant tackle and knocked himself out. Tarpany would be double his weight, double his height, everything. And Trey Fuller in his 10th game, if that, of NRL, just completely no regards for his own body. Makes a brilliant try-saving tackle to stop Tarpany and bring him to ground in a one-on-one effort, chopping down the legs, and knocked himself out in the process. So just, you got to love that sort of stuff. I love players like that. Really gutting he didn't get to finish this game. I'm sure they would have loved his excitement for the final 15 minutes and even into extra time, which they didn't get. But God, it's I don't know. It's so hard, right? Because Hamiso Tabuai-Fidow is their fullback, and for every reason. Trey Fuller, I can't see him playing any other position, but he's such a good player. It's almost frustrating having a player like that in your ranks, because you got to find a spot, but he can only really play the one, and you don't want to move Hammer to center like you can. I don't know. Either way, Trey Fuller, really good, and I just wanted to highlight that play that he did there, because I thought it showed such heart and really what Wayne Bennett prides himself on when he's building clubs, and that was Trey Fuller in that moment. So shout out Trey Fuller for that. Beyond that, as I said, every player sort of played well. I can't really recall any players having poor games. Herbie Farnworth made our team of the week again with 208 metres, 19 runs. A beautiful try assist where he just was held up in the sort of tackle when he just spun himself around, got a beautiful little offload away to Jack Bostock, who dove to the corner and scored a nice try. It's what Herbie Farnworth is capable of. He's so good. Last year, as I said, centre of the year, I still didn't realise how good he was until this year. He's one of the best centres in the NRL. Just the way he's playing, especially the last few weeks since he's come back from injury. Yeah, just incredible stuff. So thought Herbie Farnworth was immense for the Dolphins. Jermaine Asako and Jack Bostock both did really well. Jake Averillo had his moments. He scored a nice try himself. Isaiah Katoa, we talk about him every week, and we're going to do it again. Look, there's a reason I wrap him. There really is. He had a few errors in his game this week, but it's the fact that the way he bounced back from those errors. I think he had a couple kicks that maybe one went out in the full and one went dead, or I can't recall exactly what they were, but I think they were definitely to do with kicks. A few little blemishes on his game, but it's the way he bounced back from them. Those sort of things can definitely stuff up your confidence. You're a halfback, you're there to lead your team around and control the game with your kicking game, and to stuff those up, it can dishearten you because that you're like, shit, this is my entire job. Everybody's just put in the work to get that field position. I'm here to ice that off, and I fucked that up. It can fuck your confidence for a long time, even as an older player. But at his age, he just shrugged that off. And he put in 2 fantastic 40-20s that got Dolphins field position and got them the opportunity to get back in this game and score points. And like, some players don't get 40-20s in a career. Some people don't get it in a season. Like, I'm pretty sure there's some fantastic halfbacks this season that don't have any. Can't recall if Sean Johnson's got any. Maybe Adam Reynolds does. Like, there's definitely some players in our competition at the moment that don't have 40-20s. And he's nailed 2 massive ones at massive moments in the game as an 18-year-old in one game. Oh, sorry, he's 19? He might even be 20 now, but I think he's 19. Just ridiculous stuff. I never thought he was going to be a halfback. I thought he was going to be the perfect 5'8". He's a halfback, and he's already one of the best halfbacks this season. Like, it's incredible what he is doing. As I said, a few blemishes on his game, but he's going to grow. And it's the fact that he just shrugged them off, and he's like, bang, I'm going to nail these big moments. And he did just that. So I don't know what to really say about him. He's so special. He's one of the most special young players we've got coming through our grades I've seen in a long, long time. I'm so excited, and I hope he stays at the Dolphins and carves out a career there, because that would be amazing. If he can carve out a career at this new franchise, that would be the icing on the cake of his career. So I'm excited to see what he has going forward. Moving on, however, Jeremy Marshall-King, really good game. We mentioned him how close he was to our team of the week. He scored a nice try, 6 runs, 62 metres. He had a try assist, line break assist, and line break. A few tackle breaks, and probably 100 tackles. What did he do? 48 tackles of his own. So really, really good stuff. By the way, just going back to Isaiah Katoa, 20 tackles, 0 misses from the 19-year-old against a Raiders forward pack. Sorry, scrap that. 3 misses. He did miss 3 tackles. I can't read. But still, 20 tackles against that Raiders forward pack at his size and age. Good stuff. But Jeremy Marshall-King, 48 tackles of his own. And, of course, those stats that we mentioned. Even beyond that, he was so threatening. His running game is so good. There's a bit of a talk about him moving to the Rabbitohs, potentially to play under Wade Bennett again. We know that they have a good relationship there. I hope it doesn't happen, not because I don't think he'll be great at the Rabbitohs, but I think he's exactly what the Dolphins need, and he can carve out a great career here. I also think that the Rabbitohs, Damien Cook, last couple of years probably left of his career, but they've still got Pete Mamazelos, who they've earmarked for a long time, and be a real kick in the dick to Pete that he's obviously been told for so long. That's the reason he's 24 or something now, and he's waited for this shot, because he keeps getting told, yeah, it's coming, you'll have this shot. And then if Wayne Bennett goes there and goes, righto, Jeremy, come over here, Pete Mamazelos, see you later, I'd just be shit house. And I know it's a business, rugby league's a business, but yeah, I'm all for the players as well. So I hope Jeremy Marshall-King can just stay in the Dolphins and kill it here, and Wayne Bennett can go over to the Rabbitohs and just get the best out of Pete Mamazelos and Damien Cook if he's still got him for another year. Keep in mind, he's coached these 2 players before, so I'm sure he believes in their abilities. But beyond that, for the Dolphins, Mark Nichols was really good. Connolly Lemuelu was good. Ewan Aitken has been having a fantastic season at second row. Now, he is someone that is also being linked with a exit to the Rabbitohs. That is a player I would love to see sign with the Rabbitohs. Now, Dolphins, they've got a lot of players in that position, and they're getting Finafiliaki next year. Keep in mind, they also get Tom Gilbert back from injury, and whether you play him at lock forward where he was playing before that and playing amazingly, or you play him somewhere else, Max Plath's been playing lock forward and been incredible. So you get Gilbert back, you get Finafiliaki next year. Ewan Aitken, I think he's playing the best football out of a lot of players at the moment, but I think he's desperately what the Rabbitohs need. You wouldn't get him for too expensive. He can keep extending his career. I'd love to see Ewan Aitken head over to the Rabbitohs next year and just play the way he is, because he's playing some really good footy. 16 runs, 151 metres, 1 try assist, 1 line break assist, 5 tackle breaks, 1 offload, and 45 tackles with 0 misses from Ewan Aitken. So good. Speaking of players in defense, and a player we just mentioned, Maxi Plath, made our team of the week. 53 tackles Max Plath made. Keep in mind, he's a 5'8". Like, I know he's played lock this season and he's going to transition and he's going to be that, for the time going forward, probably for the rest of his career, he's going to be a forward now. But until this season, he's been a 5'8" or a halfback. He's just been told, yep, get in there and play lock. He's making 53 tackles at his small size and doing incredible things. 77 minutes he played, 15 runs for 145 metres as well. Just such a good player as Max Plath. Another one, like this Dolphins side, I did not think they'd get anywhere close to this level of football, especially, last year had them winning like 1 or 2 games all season, coming dead last by a substantial margin. They exceeded expectations. This year they're in the top 8, exceeding expectations. They've got a difficult run home, but it's going to just, sort the men from the boys. I think this team can match it with a lot of teams in this competition. I'm so excited. I didn't expect any of these players to progress to where they are. Like players like Max Plath, nobody knew. Conley Lemuelu turning him into a back rower and a fantastic one at that. Jeremy Marshall-King, one of the better hookers in our game at the moment. Isaiah Katoa, raps on him, but he is at 19 or 20 years old being one of the best halfbacks in our competition at the moment. It's just incredible what this Dolphins team is doing. I thought Ray Stone was fantastic as well. 142 metres from 12 runs in 50 metres. And we know what Ray Stone does in defence and what he brings in defence as well. 35 tackles of his own and that just intensity of him. What can you say about this team, really? Love what the Dolphins are doing, but they did go down. So let's speak on the Canberra Raiders, starting with Jordan Rapana. What a game. As I said, he's a winger, he's playing fullback, he's just playing with the heart on his sleeve as he always does. He bleeds green for the Raiders. He is a Canberra Raiders great. Just let's be honest, let's say it how it is. He is a Canberra Raiders great. He had the try assist and line break assist. He had the effort areas where Isaiah Katoa put in a grubber kick to, if he scores that, he wins the game. And Jordan Rapana, all heart, is sprinting back there, shoulder to shoulder, bang, contact, ball goes dead off the Dolphins. People saying that's the sin bin. No, that was straight. Just, he's always for the ball. He's always putting in that effort. That's a 34, 35-year-old up against the 19, 20-year-old, whatever their ages are. He's putting in those efforts. And then he nails a field goal to level the game with 2 minutes to go, and then a field goal in Golden Point to win the game for the Raiders. He's never kicked a field goal before in his life, and he kicks 2 in the clutchest moments of their season. He's so good. How can you not love Jordan Rapana? Yes, he can get a little bit grubby, not so much in the niggle aspects, but he can do a few things that are like, what the fuck are you doing? And he's prone to a brain explosion. But yeah, I love Jordan Rapana, the way he plays. He's all heart, and I'm so happy he had these moments because they could be what he gets remembered for. He could have just been, we'll sign you for another season, your last season, and you can just be a bit of a mentor. He can be a bit of a plotter on the wing. No, he's playing fullback, one of the hardest positions in our game at his age, leading this team of, young halves of Ethan Strange and KO Weeks, and he's your fullback. Even Danny Levi's your hooker. Think of that. Your spine is Jordan Rapana, KO Weeks, Ethan Strange, and Danny Levi, and they're winning games like this. That's no disrespect to those players, but with the quality that other teams have in those positions, like the Storm, maybe they're not the best example because they've got one of the best spines in the comp, but even, Panthers. Let's look at some of the lesser teams. Let's look at a Tigers team, for instance. That's a team with Jareem Buller, superstar of last year, Apasai Coruscant, that's a New South Wales and Premiership winning hooker. You've got Lockie Galvin, young player, similar-ish to Strange, making their debuts this season. And then Aiden Caesar, that experienced veteran. Like, players like that are beneath the Raiders, on paper, just a better spine. But what the Raiders are doing at the moment, it's just, I'm so happy for them. I love this sort of stuff. So shout out the Raiders, shout out Rapana. Beyond that, Timoko, really good as he always is. 20 runs for 202 metres did Matthew Timoko do. Nick Kotrick getting back to his best. I think he's been really good this season, so I love seeing that. Xavier Savage is someone I wanted to speak on. He is quietly growing into just a great player. He's not just the highlight reel player he was when he sort of came into the league that we all sort of thought he would be. Just someone that you'd get by based on his speed. He's doing so many different, he's impacting the game in so many different areas of the game. His take, he scored a try in this one from a hard kick chase and jumping over Trey Fuller. I believe it was Trey Fuller. Might have been a psycho or someone, but yeah, a kick chase and taking a kick on the full and scoring a try off that. I loved that. His effort areas, the runs he's making, he's so good. I'm really happy for what he's doing, and I'm guilty of it too. I thought he was an NRL player. I thought he had that potential, but I also thought he was going to be a byproduct of his speed. Just if there's any amount of space, bang, he's gone, and that's why he's going to be fun and exciting. But he's getting through so much tough stuff. He's just playing such good footy. I love what Xavier Savage is doing, and a massive shout out to him. I thought he was exceptional in this one. Another player who very well could have made my team of the week. But yeah, shout out Xavier Savage. Ethan Strange, he continues to have a great debut year. Probably my favourite for Rookie of the Year. Obviously, Lockie Galvin has been ruled out of the award with the suspension, which I think is a stupid rule, but hey, that's just how it works. So because of that, I think Strange is right up there. There's a hit he made on, I think it's Jake Averillo, right near the end of the game. I don't know how Averillo kept the ball because, God, there was one of the hits of the season where he's put through the kick and he's just sprinting. Keep in mind, another, 19-year-old is Ethan Strange? He could even be 18. No, he was 18 last year, wasn't he? Yeah, he's 19 years old, turns 20 in August. And that hit that he hit, I think it was, Jake Averillo, one of the best hits of the season. And he's just got no regard for his body. He's playing with his heart on his sleeve. Going to be another player that you just look at him and like, that's a Raiders player right there. So Ethan Strange was great. KO Weeks, another player I want to mention. We talk about byproducts of speed like Xavier Savage. I thought that was going to be KO Weeks. Now, he was decently highly touted coming through the juniors, but I never really saw it. I think it was always, the speed of him that just got him opportunities. He's not. He's so much more than that. Like, when they named him at halfback, when Jamal Fogarty went down, I'm like, shit, this could be a long season for the Raiders. They have options. They have Adam Cook in our reserve grade. They've got, obviously, my boy Mitch Henderson, who I think is a fantastic footballer and much more suited to that role, whether he's playing 5'8" or halfback. I think he's got a bit more to him in that sort of role as a halfback. But they named KO Weeks. I'm like, shit. KO Weeks has been incredible at halfback, and I've got to eat my hat. I've got to eat my words because, he's so much more than just his speed. Obviously, he scored a nice try in this one using his speed, but everything else in this game, he's just effort on effort plays. He's kicking well. He's just, I'm so impressed with KO Weeks. Like, he's progressed much more than I thought he could have been. And, I never saw him being a halfback. I thought a 5'8" just for his speed or a fullback because of his speed. Yes, he's got a bit of ball playing, but to name him at halfback next to another rookie in Ethan Strange is such big balls. We mentioned this spine that the Raiders are dealing with. He is killing it. So, apologies for any KO Week slander from me. He's a footy player. He's a great player. He's having a great season. He was fantastic in this game, and he made my team of the week because of it. Such a good performance from KO Weeks. He's playing so well. So, shout out KO Weeks. Beyond that, I thought Josh Papali'i was fantastic. Joseph Tarpany, of course, made my team of the week, and he had 23 runs for 216 metres. Had a line break that we spoke of where he was cut down by Trey Fuller. He also went out there and made 51 tackles. So that's why Joseph Tarpany made my team of the week. I'm struggling to think who my other front row forward was, though. Probably someone who deserved it. Terrell May. Okay, that's why James Fisher-Harris didn't make my run on team of the week, but he definitely should have made my bench. But Joseph Tarpany, 51 tackles in 62 minutes of play and 216 metres, I should say. He was so good. He's having a great season. People aren't really giving him credit. I think the Raiders always fly under the radar as a team from Canberra. They don't get nearly enough love that they should, which I think works in their favour. Ricky Stewart plays into that, and he loves that for them. Joseph Tarpany's having another great season. I thought Adam Mariota was good. Elliot Whitehead came up with some good plays. Just, really, really good game from the Canberra Raiders. Trey Mooney had good moments off the bench as well. So, yeah, a game I didn't tip them for sure. But yeah, what can you say, really? Fantastic game and one of the better games of the round. So for them to come away victors in a game like that, you got to give them their credit. Finally, let's get on to the final game of the round. The Sydney Roosters going down to the Cowboys 18-16. Another game. Look, let's be honest, I got 1 out of 5 games right this week. You know, the Eels Sharks one, I'll cop on the chin. I had the Eels and changed. Like, I saw that one happening. I got the Bulldogs one up. Panthers versus Dragons. I never gave Dragons a hope in hell. I never gave... Oh, sorry. The Dolphins Raiders one, I believed in the Dolphins, and I can cop a game like that because it's 1 point. And that one, I never gave the Cowboys a hope in hell of beating the Roosters. I thought they'd get smashed. Once again, how wrong am I? They get the victory done, and the biggest part about it, they done it through defense. Now, I know the Roosters were missing a fair amount of players, and they had James Tedesco taken just before this sort of game kicked off, or at least a day before. I don't even think it was a day. I think it was a few hours before James Tedesco was called into Origin camp. So they had to make adjustments on the fly, but it's still a team with Joey Manu, Sam Walker, Luke Keary, Jared Warrior-Hargreaves, Nat Butcher, Victor Radley, just everyone out there. Dominic Young, like, it's the Roosters. And the Cowboys were without all of their best players. No Valentine Holmes, no Murray Taulagi, no Reece Robson, no Tom Dearden, no Reuben Cotter, like no Jeremiah Nanai. What do you do? It's a much more substantial amount of players and big name players out that are integral to your team than the Roosters had. I had them with no hope of winning this one. I genuinely thought it could be a 50-4 sort of victory, or maybe 50-20, because you know that the Cowboys can always score points. But no, they won, and they won it through defense. They grit and grinded their way to a win. And it's interesting, and I love this, to be honest, because with all of those players out, and I don't think those players have been the problem, don't get me wrong, but with all of those players out, to get a win like this, it's a big wake-up call to everyone. Now, again, as I said, I don't think the players out to Origin are the problem. I think they're having good seasons, and they're playing Origin for a reason. But to get this win in a defensive way like that, it's a wake-up call to everyone. Be like, look, we can do this. These people who are stepping in, that next man up mentality, they've got it done. They have played this level of defense. Everyone has to be to this standard. So I'm really happy that they got this win. I'm not so happy for my Supercoach stocks. I mean, it was good because Terrell May scored 116 or something, which I expected. Maybe not 116, but I expected a big game. We thought he was going to be an anytime try scorer as we got on the bet. Very, very sad. We got close to the bet. Terrell May, Dominic Young as anytime try scorers were like, hey, we're there. We just need Sam Walker and Joseph Manu. Didn't happen. So what can you do? But yeah, it's just shout out the Cowboys, man. Really, really got to shout them out. We'll go over to the Roosters to start, though. Wasn't a poor performance from the Roosters. I don't think so. I really don't. I think there was a lot of good performances in them. You know, Daniel Tupou was good with his usual work out of his end. Joseph Manu at fullback still had 27 runs for 202 metres. Dominic Young had his moments. He had a few brain snaps. He is prone to a brain snap. There was one where he got tackled and was sort of getting pushed out. I don't know if he was going to, actually get pushed out. It was still a fair bit infield, and then he offloaded it. Could have been a Cowboys try. It ended up going over the sideline or something, I think. But yeah, just moments like that, it's like, Jesus Christ. He is prone to a few of them, but he has his moments in attack as well. Sam Walker had his crazy moments. That short side play to Dominic Young for that try was gorgeous after the Young line break. I thought he was good. Brandon Smith was really good early, lots of runs. I like him. I think he's having a good season and people are just underrating him. Terrell May, we mentioned, 17 runs, 147 metres, one try in 75 minutes as well. And he punched out 51 tackles and 0 misses of his own. Oh, wow. Brandon Smith missed 8 tackles. That is not good enough in defence. So guess we better shout that out. Also, Victor Radley missed 6 tackles on the edge. Now, the edge is quite difficult to defend on, and I just want Victor Radley back at lock forward anyway, despite the fact he's been playing some decent, good footy. At back row, for me, he's a lock forward. So, yeah, look, they weren't bad, as I said. They lost the game, and they had their moments. and they had their errors of that, like they had moments of the game where they lost concentration and they were decently poor. But I don't think it was just an out-and-out really poor performance from the Roosters. I thought it was just a really grindy affair and a game that the Cowboys got up for, which I didn't think they would. So, yeah, not too many standout performers. As I said, you have your Joseph Manu's, your Daniel Tupous, Dom Young had his moments, Sam Walker, Terrell May, Nat Butcher I thought was good. Nafahu White was still quite good as well out there. And I liked Satili Tupanua off the bench. But it wasn't, a train wreck by any means. But over to the Cowboys. Scott Drinkwater doing Scott Drinkwater things again with another try assist, a try, 10 tackle breaks, 3 line breaks, 1 line break assist, 17 runs, 127 metres. Everything goes through him, and for good reason. He's just, you can't stop him. Once again, we'll go back to what Bloke in a Bar said, what Kempy said on Bloke in a Bar, saying if there's any player who can out Reece Walsh, it's Scott Drinkwater. And he's not far off. Scott Drinkwater is such a good player, and I love how he's performing. Thought Kyle Felt was good. Viliame Vaileha was good. Braden Burns, I thought, was exceptional. I loved Braden Burns in this one. I've always been a fan of him, but, there's a reason he's always been sort of down the pecking order in teams. But since he's been at the Cowboys, he's been bloody incredible. So, yeah, massive shout out to Braden Burns. Thought he was great. Jordan McLean was pretty decent. Finafiliaki was good. Look, there was a lot of players. The big one for me, though, was Jason Taumalolo, very close to getting onto my team of the week on the bench. I probably should have had him just for the meaning behind the game, but he finally punched out bigger minutes when they needed him to. He played 54 minutes, and in that 54 minutes, 19 runs for 184 metres. He had 8 tackle breaks. He had 2 offloads to JT, and not the Thurston kind. He was just, really, really good. So I love that from Taumalolo. We also have to give big shout-outs to Jamal Shibasaki and Jackson Purdue, who made their NRL debuts for the Cowboys, and a massive shout-out to Blake Steep, who made his NRL debut for the Roosters as well. On Jackson Purdue, he played 80 minutes at centre after being a late call-up for Tom Chester, who was ruled out of this game. I thought he was really, really good, was Purdue. 9 runs for 113 metres, 1 line break, 0 errors, which is the big one, as an 18-year-old coming in, marking the Roosters of all teams. He had 19 tackles as well. He also had that, great effort where he not chased down, but brought Dom Young to ground on that half break. Of course, the next play, Dom Young scored anyway because Sam Walker took it from dummy half and just put him over on the short side. But you've got to love the effort of Purdue to chase back and make that sort of cover tackle on Dom Young. So I thought he was really good, and he wasn't flustered at all. Had some really good moments as well. That line break that he made and the spin move he put on. He's definitely someone, again, who has a lot of growing to do into his body, but keep in mind, at 18 years of age, that's going to happen. But I thought he more than handled himself. And for these players to get a win on debut, Jamal Shibasaki, the other, of course, these 18-year-olds to get a win on debut against a powerhouse side like the Roosters, it's a fantastic knock. So want to shout out every player on this Cowboys side. There's literally not a player that had a poor performance in my eyes. So if I didn't mention anyone, Harrison Edwards was really good. Jamal Shibasaki, we just spoke about. I thought he was really good as well. Didn't miss any tackles, and he took 5 runs for 47 metres while he was on the field. He really tried to make his time on the field count, and you love to see that at someone his age. So everybody was really good. Harlem Lukey, maybe the only blight on this game with that lifting tackle on Satili Tupanua. That was really ugly. Pretty lucky not to be sent off, in my opinion. He, of course, was sin-binned for that, and rightly so, in my opinion. But, yeah, pretty ugly tackle. I assume he'll probably miss some weeks for that, but we'll have to wait and see. I wanted to see more out of Harlem Lukey, though. I've always rated him. Everybody's always rated him, and I thought in the absence of all these players, he would really be a go-to. Wasn't really the case. Lastly, a shout out to Jake Granville at 35 or 34 years of age, getting through 80 minutes at hooker once again and making 45 tackles of his own. So what can you say, really? I thought, yeah, fantastic game for the Cowboys. The other thing is, I thought Jake Clifford had some really good moments as well. If Jake Clifford is the next apparent to their... Well, if he's the heir apparent to Chad Townsend at halfback when Townsend departs, you want to see these performances when he gets those chances. So we'll have to see whether Clifford becomes a 5'8" and they move Dearden to halfback, or they keep Dearden at 5'8" and make Clifford a halfback. I think there's definitely a way to go there, and I've always liked Jake Clifford, so hopefully he can just keep progressing the way he is. But yeah, fantastic win for the Cowboys. We speak about their attack all the time. It's the fact that they won this on defense that really got me impressed here against the Roosters side of all teams as well. And with the names that they had out, it's just, yeah, I gave them no hope in hell of winning, and they went out and did it. So massive, massive shout out to the Cowboys for this one. But that one will wrap us up. I'm sorry if I've spent a little bit less time on a few of your teams or a few of the games in this one. I just want to wrap these ones up a little bit quicker. I've got a lot to do in my days off before I'm getting ready for a couple sort of holidays. So content will be absent over them. Maybe I can get some Instagram content out, but the podcasts will be lacking over that time. So I'm just trying to get a bit of work done before all of that. So thank you guys for tuning into this one. Once again, if you're not following us on Instagram, go and do so. That is at Chip and Chase Podcast. A lot more content over there that we don't talk about on the podcast. So if you want to interact more, if you're just a footy fan like me, that's the place to do it. But if you've made it this far, thank you sincerely from the bottom of my heart to listening. If you haven't, well, you don't hear this anyway. But thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.